preparing, and we're
Yeah.
live on YouTube. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. How are you?
Hi, everyone. How are you?
We are getting set up here. I'm excited. We were just talking before we went live. This is going to be a really beautiful talk today, a really important talk, I think, with everything going on in the world and people feeling lost and
Mm,
scared and alone and
mm.
isolated and confused and angry, perhaps.
Yes. Perhaps, yes. Well, absolutely. I mean, I love this topic today because it's all about self-love and
Mm,
self-worth.
yeah.
And we're going to talk about how to find our own source of comfort and strength because it's within. It's not out there, even though we think it's out there. It's not. It's always within. And we're actually going to focus a little bit on how to mother and father ourselves so that we can feel calm and at peace with ourselves.
Right.
So I'm looking forward this hour, which is going to go by like that. I know
Yes.
it, but
Yes.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Same. I think I was talking to a client in a coaching session the other day, and the where my encouragement to her was, if we're always looking at someone else to fill our cup,
Yes.
and that doesn't mean that we're feeling in victim, doesn't mean that we are codependent. It just means that if we forget that everything that comes to fill us comes from within us,
Mhm.
we will always look for someone else, and that puts us in a terrible spot because that creates anxiety. Is the person going to stay or go, or can it's
Mm.
not sovereign. And it's just
Yes.
to remind us that, oh, I'm the one that has to tell myself everything's going to be okay. Everything.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Whatever, I mean, if we think that the source to our happiness is outside of ourselves, we have tapped into a lie, and our soul source does not like that. So it will give us some kind of pain, emotional pain, because we're
Mm,
tapped into a lie.
right.
The source to our happiness can never be outside of ourselves.
Mm,
And if we think that, well, then we're in a very, very bad place. And I think that almost everyone on this earth needs help with this.
yes.
And it has to do with how we are brought up as children, because we need our parents in order to survive. And if they're not capable of giving us the attention, the love, the care, the nourishing, the protection, whatever it is, if they're not capable of giving us this, we are tapping into this lie because they are not capable of giving it to us, and we need it as a child to survive. So it seems like the truth that we have to look for it, otherwise we will die.
Right. Right.
You can't know this as a child, but you can know this as a grown-up. Exactly in the same way as an acorn has everything it needs to become a big oak tree, so do we have everything we need to become happy and joyous and the best version of ourselves. So we
Mm,
don't need to go outside to find it. That's a flawed belief system, which is inflicted upon us. We're contaminated with it as children,
yes.
and it stays with us. So what we need to do is to look at it and say, okay, this isn't working for me. I need to find another source for my
Right.
happiness, because everything is always changing on the outside. I mean, friends come and go, you get a divorce, your
Yes.
children leave the home, and if you're looking for love on the outside, you will always be met with suffering
Yes.
because everything changes all the time. So, where is the truth and where do you find that love? Well, the truth is that it's within you. You need to become your own father, you need to become your own mother, you need
Yes.
to acknowledge everything that you're looking for on the outside. You need to acknowledge that within yourself and start giving it. That's how you heal from this.
Yes.
And it's a hard thing to do,
Mm,
but once you start doing it, it becomes easier.
yes. was thinking about this morning in prep for our call. And I thought how unnecessary it is when we are constantly looking for another to fill our cup. We don't get to enjoy that person as much. We don't get to have fun as two children playing on the playground are not like looking for the other child to affirm them. They're just playing. They're enjoying each other's company. And I was watching my children play yesterday with friends, and I thought they're not concerned of, oh, are you kind? Are you filling my cup? Or it was like they were just individuals enjoying each other as individuals. And the fun, the joy, the atmosphere was so magnetic. I thought, what if adults did that instead of like, oh, I'm not feeling loved by my partner, or I'm not feeling seen at work, or I'm not, whatever it is, I'm not, and I'm in this lack narrative. What if we remembered that everything that we feel comes from within us, and saying, as my own father to my own inner child, I love you. You are safe. You are so smart. You are so strong. You are so amazing. You're everything that I want to be. Telling ourselves that, so that when we feel, I'm great, we can just be with another person and just enjoy them for who they are versus what they can give us. That's freedom.
It is freedom because it comes from you and you carry it everywhere. No one can take it away from you. They can lock you in a room and you still have it because it's yours. It cannot be taken away from you. This is a spiritual truth. This ability cannot be taken away from you. So just tapping into it, that gives you the power, so to speak. But the problem starts when we want to live up to, external expectations. And this is something that starts with in our childhood. We want our parents to love us. So the expectations they have on us, be they real or not real, we still want to fill those expectations, and we do anything in our power to be seen by them. And if they're not capable of seeing us, well, what happens? We start thinking that we're not enough. We are not enough. So where do you get the things you need to feel enough? Well, you start looking somewhere else, on the outside. You don't go inside and say, I don't care what my parents think. I'm good enough. I don't know a child that does that, because that would be counterproductive. They might leave you and you might die, so you can't think it. It's almost like it's forbidden to think so as a child. But that doesn't mean that we can think so as grown-ups when we look back at it and say, okay, so they didn't know how to fill my cup. How do I fill my cup? Because the goal is to fill the cup, not who is filling the cup. So you can do it yourself. That's where the true power is. And as you said, children playing around, they don't care if you fill their cup. What they do care about is this person of the same frequency as me? Yes. Are they looking for the same joy as I am? Are we having fun? Yes. That's the only thing they want. That is the rules of the game, so to speak. But as grown-ups, we never do that. What we do is we scan each other, and then we see, what can I get from you, and what do you need from me? Not what can I give you, and what would you like? So we're conditioned to think that we will never be enough. This is the imposter syndrome. This is the never enough, unworthy person always. I think most of us explore that space all the time, and we don't have to. No one has to do that. We just do it because we've always done it. How do we jump out of this?
Well, it's interesting that if we start saying, well, we're our own mother and father, but then if we have modeling of, and even if we have great mothers and fathers, that's not really the point. The point is, although many don't, but even if they had the most benevolent, good, loving, emotionally intelligent parents there were, still, they are not responsible to solve the satiation within us to feel whole. That always will come within. Now, parents can model a good, healthy framework, but what if we don't have healthy frameworks? And I remember going to therapy years ago, and the therapist would say, a healthy father, I was talking about my own experience, and he said, a healthy father would do this. Like, it was like I was only thinking in this little paradigm of like what being a
Yes.
man, a father, or a person.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, a healthy father would do this. And blew it it blew my mind, literally, because it made sense. It was like, of course that's what I would want. But I couldn't get there because none of the modeling, none of my ability to understand that realm I experienced until someone said, this is what a healthy father does. And I was like, of course. So
Yes.
as coach, when I coach now, or we talk to people, say, how would you speak to yourself as if
Yes.
no trauma ever happened? How would you speak to yourself if you were your own parent and you just unconditionally like loved yourself? What would you say to yourself? When we start coming up with this list, I'm like, that's what you say to yourself then. You're not going
That
to ever get that from your mother. You're never going to get that from your
yes.
father. You're never going to get that from your partner.
Yes.
Only you can give yourself that.
Absolutely. I've done the same thing. I asked myself, what would I say to a hurt, sad, lonely child? What would I say? And I kind of caught myself thinking, I've never said that to myself. And I was a hurt, sad, lonely child. And I never said that to myself because I'm expecting it from the outside.
Yeah.
That's the blueprint. When we enter this world, we expect it because that's the only way for us to survive. And they're not able to give it to us. So well, I have to ask myself that. When I started asking myself that question, what would I say to a hurt, sad, lonely child? And I would say, it's okay, everything will be fine. You're fine. You're good enough. You're beautiful. You're present. You're intelligent. All of these things are there. When I say that to myself, I go, whoa, that's the truth. I can feel it in my body. That is the truth. But just because I have a parent that is not capable of seeing my true self, they're looking through their ego and seeing my triggered ego, not being able to perceive who I truly am from within, that doesn't mean that what they did was the truth, even though as a child I think that's the truth because I'm mirroring myself towards them. So it really is a question of asking yourself the right questions and also being there for yourself.
Because you can see easily if we don't do that, how easily humanity can get swept into gangs or mob mentality where I'm going to perform for you. And if you affirm my performance, I will feel safe. But that has nothing to do with the individual really feeling safe, because the minute he walks away or she walks away from the group, then they'll feel lack again. So it wasn't a true sense of self-worth, self-love. And I see this on micro scales, and I can see this on the macro scale right now on the planet. It's like people are, even this narrative of like, I'm doing this for you, and I expect you to do that for me. Well, that's not love, because that's conditioned. So we're
Yes,
not
it's
free.
yeah, again, we've been talking about this so many times.
Yes.
Love cannot be transactional. If
Right.
it's transactional, there's something lacking. There is an untruth going on there, and it's not love.
Right.
It can feel like love because if you have nowhere where you fill that cup and someone gives it to you, but then wants something in return, well, that is transactional and it will never fill you, never. So this is why you do everything to stay in a group, even if they're hurting you. And exactly as you say, what needs to happen is to understand that you don't need it. And whatever it is that you feel that you need, you can always get from within to take that role as your own father, as your own mother.
Yes.
And I mean, as I say, it might not be easy to grasp it from the beginning, but at the same time, when you grasp it, when you understand that the power is always within, that it's never on the outside, That
Mm,
is when you can start growing and become a sovereign human being and become a real parent to your own children too. For me, it was easier to understand this concept when my son was born, because I realized what a real parent needs to do. As
mm,
you say, I had a model which was not good. It
right.
was not a good model. I remember myself as a child trying to find good role models, specifically when it came to my father, because he was not a good role model. And I knew it intuitively that there's something wrong with this picture. I could see that other fathers were kind and my father wasn't kind. So I thought, okay, that might be some of his personality. But it didn't help me to feel whole in his presence. So what I did was that I watched movies from the 40s and 50s, and I loved Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly was my father. This is how I imagined it, because he was always happy, he was dancing, he was present, he was protective. There was so many things going on, and I thought that must be how a real father is. Or Little House on the Prairie, Michael Landon.
Ah,
He was my real father because he was protecting these girls. He was always there for them. He was present. And this is when you ask children, what is a good dad? They will answer someone who is there, someone who listens to mom, someone who can protect me, someone who hugs. I think I read something like that on
mm,
the web. And these are traits of a father figure. And in your case, you didn't even think about them because you were so abused by your father. So you
that's
couldn't even imagine that a man could possess these traits.
right. Right.
I asked Gregor, my husband, just before we started this live session, what is can you just name one thing that a good father does? And he says, well, he doesn't allow his ego to um, he doesn't allow his ego to come between him and his children. He's always there for them, and he knows when to back out and when to be there and protect them. And that's
Wow.
all it is. It is not allowing your ego to overshadow your children and your relationship to your children. For me, the first instant answer was someone who can protect me, but that is because I didn't have the protection. So
Yes.
I went
Yes.
way back into my childhood and gave that answer. But his answer is actually more of a universal answer. Someone who can allow himself to be present, soul present with his children, and not allow his ego to stand between him and his children.
Mm,
I love that. I mean, if we know that this is a real father, then we can model our own behavior towards ourselves.
yes.
I was curious about one thing, because when I think about mothering and fathering myself, I can't father myself, but I
Hmm.
can mother myself. And I wonder if that is because I'm a woman. How do you feel? Can you mother yourself, or do you more feel like you're fathering yourself?
Actually, I feel like I can mother myself, but I think how I think of mother is nurturer. So
Mm-hmm.
then I think, like, if I go in and I look at the mother side of me, like
Mm-hmm.
it's it's like gentle sitting with, it's like soothing versus yeah, it's more like a physical space, like a presence space,
Mm-hmm.
than it is like words. If I'm giving myself words, for me, that's where I feel like, okay, you are safe, you are loved, you're free, you're abundant, you're powerful. Like that's more, I feel like, the fathering side, but that's maybe because we both default on,
Mm-hmm.
that natural. But yeah, the
Yeah.
mothering side, I feel like just like it's gonna be okay. That's usually when it's like it's gonna be okay.
Mm. I think maybe it's the same thing here, even though I might not label it as fathering myself, but the mothering thing comes as a natural thing. I always go into nurturing myself, thinking, okay, I
Mm,
need to I
yeah.
need to take care of myself here. I need to Maybe it's more when I find a place where I say enough is enough. That's when I father myself. If I say that,
Yeah.
okay, you've crossed my boundaries and you can't come any further, but it still feels a little bit alien to me to do that. And I don't know why that is. It's interesting to. I would love if our listeners could answer this question, if it feels as natural to father as it is to mother yourself. And I think that's an interesting question to ask. I think one of the things feels more natural to us, so we're not thinking of it as,
Right.
mothering or fathering yourself. And the other thing is more alien, but at the same time, it's there. So you pick it up when you need it, so to speak.
Really, really good, because I'm thinking right now, like, all my experiences with what I did not ever have was being told I was good enough, that I'm enough. So that, and that's just from the verbal standpoint. So I constantly performed, and I was
Yes.
obsessed with being seen. And
Yes.
so when I father myself, part of it is just saying, you don't have to do anything, like nothing. You have nothing to do, and you are absolutely loved. And then in the mothering side, I feel like what I experienced was too much clinginess, because I was her soothing for her, the trauma. So that's what I feel like, more just holding space, just being, instead of
Wow.
not
Yeah.
not
Okay.
needing anything from me. When I feel like someone needs something, I'm like, I have that childhood aversion, like someone's gonna take something from me. Or so this is really fascinating.
Yes, it is. It is. For me,
Huh.
when I think about what my father did to me, was that I always needed to explain myself. Whatever I did, he wanted an explanation of why I did it. And then if he didn't like it, well, there was punishment in this. So anytime I feel that the urge to explain myself, that is the good father in me who says you do not need to explain yourself. Stand in your own strength.
Yeah.
So that's when that energy flows through me and says, I don't need to explain myself. I actually pull back a little bit when the masculine energy, the fathering energy within me is present. I know that I can pull back and I can sit in my silence. I do not need to react. I do not need to explain. I do not need to engage. I can just stay. Just being silent is enough. I don't need to do anything. And then the mothering part, where it is to nurture myself, to take care of myself, because my mother didn't know how to do that. She couldn't help me with those things. And as I say, in a way, this came more natural to me because I helped my brothers. So I nurtured them as their mother almost. So it's an energy which is there all the time. But the fathering one has been the one that has given me most growth in this reality, where to put up boundaries, to say no to certain things and still stand in my power and be kind without, getting angry because everybody's creating a victimhood state within me.
Right.
So that's how I use that fathering energy. But it's more external still. When I think of a good father, I think of my own husband, the way he is with my son, or I think of Michael Landon in Little House
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
Prairie. So I do have role models or you're a good father. So to think of people who actually are present and allow the masculine energy to come out in a healthy way. Those are the good fathers, so to speak. So there are many of them, and you can just look at it. But as I say, for me personally, when I need to become my own father, that is to hold my own stance, in dignity and grace and sovereignty, and say, this is what it is. I do not need to explain myself. So that's the lesson from my past, and the father figure that I never had as a father, that I
So
had to invent.
yeah, I think of Little House on the Prairie, which my oldest daughter loves still. She'll watch it. I think that father figure, and I think this is true for us now, but if we look at that cabin as our body,
Yes.
the father, Michael Landon, created energetic space where and I'm just going to say the daughters, but the wife too, but the daughters never had to fear what was outside the door.
Yes, protecting. Yes.
It was never a thought of like, they're in the middle of nowhere, but they're never thinking what's out there to come get me. And then the mother created a space where there was always food and plates and warmth and light. And so they never had to look within and say, is there enough in here? Is there, so
it was always enough. Yes.
It was always enough. So that balance of the masculine and feminine energy of never being afraid that there is either something coming to hurt or something lack. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. That's so beautiful. I love that. I think that is exactly why I love to watch it, because as you say, there was no lack and no danger. And this is the truth about this reality. This is how it actually does work. It's a misconception.
Yeah.
Yes.
It makes me emotional. Just thinking of that is such a beautiful.
Yeah. And it's not a castle, it's just a cabin. One thing that I loved about Michael Landon in this role is that he's always fixing stuff. Anytime the camera is on him, he's fixing something. He's fixing the house all the time. So he doesn't allow the house to decay, the house to fall apart. He's always holding the house together, so to speak. And the girls could run back and forth. They could run outside of the home, explore things. They might encounter suffering, they might encounter pain, but when they come home again, it's always safe, warm, and enough. Yes. And this is how that home has to be created here. Yes. This is what mothering yourself and fathering yourself means. It is to create the boundaries where your home is and to nurture yourself from within with the warmth, the food, the soul food that you need from within. And I love what you just said about that. It's so beautiful because it explains to me why I was obsessed by this. I read all the books and I saw every single part of that series. Watched them over and over again. I loved it. I love the beginning of it, how she runs through the meadow and the joy of that. I simply felt like this was my home, and I couldn't for my life understand why I was in this mess when this was actually my home. You know, the series and the movie. So I love that. It really is beautiful. How do we create this space for ourselves and for our children? I think it really truly is about knowing who you are, knowing where the power is, knowing where to go when you cannot get it on the outside. If the universe is not giving you what you want from the outside, it is actually telling you, go within. There is abundance of it. It is eternal. It is infinite. Go within. But we're not doing that. We're actually pushing further out and seeking everywhere and becoming disappointed when we can't find it.
And then blaming others for the lack of disappointment or the disappointment. I think a big component of this is belief in one's own self. And so if I don't believe in my abilities to critically think, to figure it out, to problem solve, then I believe that I'm not enough. Therefore, someone else has to tell me how to solve the problem. And so whether that's with my health, whether that's with my job, my life, my career, like everything, it's if I don't believe that I am enough, and I'm experiencing something right now in with a big client, where I have to have a conversation, and if I got stuck in the fear of, oh, it's going to be bad, or what's going to happen, or all these things, versus on the other side of that conversation, there will be on the other side. I will get through that conversation. And then what? Well, I had to do this process. I am incredibly intelligent. I am sovereign. So I'll figure it out. I attract the highest good. I mean, I had to go through this process. And of course, we all are, because we're all here. But
Yeah.
it's this energy, whether it keeps us in that low vibration of someone saving us, or wait a minute, wait a minute, I can save myself. And it's by going within.
Absolutely, because it is it is not what others think of you, but what you think of yourself that
Mm,
determines your self-worth and the image of yourself, who you are. It doesn't matter what they think on the outside. It is when you believe what they think about you. Let's say that you have a mentor, and this mentor tells you, you're a gorgeous being, you're an amazing human being, and you start believing it. It's not that they made you do that. It is you believe what they say, and the belief comes from within. And when it comes from within, the universe reacts to that and gives you more opportunities to explore your own amazingness. But if there is no one that will tell you that you're amazing, then you have to find that from within, start believing it, and sending that energy out. That's a much tougher thing to do. It's easier if you have nice people around you that will tell you the truth. You're amazing. Parents who will parent you the way they're supposed to parent you, give you the strength that you need so that you will tap into it within yourself and see the proof of it on the outside. But let's say that you have a childhood that, as you and I had, and there is no one there to tell you this. There actually there's always people that will tell you this. I had a teacher who literally told me, you are amazing, and I believed him. But I also thought that if he goes away, then I won't be amazing, because no one can see that. He's the only one that can see it. And that's also not the truth. It's a question of finding it from within, as you did with your client, feeling all the murky things around there, and then sitting down and telling yourself, wait a minute, I am not dependent on what he or she thinks of me. My life and my self-image is created from within. It cannot be created anywhere else. It has to be from within. So just reminding yourself of, like, okay, this does not resonate with me. Where can I find something that resonates within me? I mean, you can walk into your children's room and they will go, whoa, daddy, and be happy, and they love you. That
yeah,
is the truth of who you are.
yeah,
Why would you forget that when you speak to a client or whoever it is? They don't know you.
right.
They haven't spent time with you. They don't know you. Why would you believe their version, their image of you? The
Mm,
only way the only way they can see you is if they actually consciously choose to look at the core of who you are, not what the ego presents or the surface presents. How many people do you know who look at you this way?
mm.
And I almost said, except your mother, but I know that your mother didn't. So that's one of the problems in life.
Exactly. Yeah.
Some of us don't have mothers who will see the core in us regardless of what we do.
Right.
So we need to find that place within ourselves.
Mm. For those watching, it's, whether you're watching live right now or you watch on the replay, I just encourage everyone to detach, like take a pause and step back and look at the earth right now, the narrative. This is either becoming the most traumatizing time or the greatest healing time. And I think perhaps one had to precede the other, because you and I, we've talked, and I've had these visions of these massive 100,000 people in stadiums, healing events, like, and not just physically healing, although I'm sure that will happen, but emotionally healing, where humanity finally gets this fog washed away of I love that you said murkiness, because it's so murky everywhere we go. It's murky. It's just I was talking to a buddy yesterday, and he said, I was thanking this coffee owner at this coffee shop, and just, I know it's tough right now because people aren't working in the United States. We went to a grocery store and there were signs everywhere. I mean, plastered everywhere. $20 an hour, we're hiring, just people are not working. And so this buddy was telling me, I think this coffee shop owner, I know it's tough to find employees. And he's like, oh, it's tough right now. And the coffee shop owner said, it's so nice to see a smile and talk to someone again. And my buddy's like, yeah, man, this is what it's about. I mean, we got to keep shining our light. And he was telling me he left thinking, how bizarre. I wasn't doing anything other than just having a normal conversation, but the man realized there was a contrast from the murkiness that has been present to all of a sudden someone just talking like a human being again.
It's about focusing on what is true within ourselves.
Yes.
And turning away from what is untrue. And the murkiness is untrue. We're just exploring it right now. Hopefully we become conscious of that we're exploring this murkiness, which isn't true, and then tap into the truth within us. But we can't do it if we're looking for the source of our happiness on the outside, because it's murky right now on the outside. So you can't find it. You have to look from within and then tap into that and smile, be out there, share your light, and help others to find that light within them. That's the only way to do that. If you believe the murkiness as the truth, then you've fallen prey to it, and it can never be like that. The truth is that we are pure light. We are literally pure light. We're photons. I mean, we are pure light. And to close your eyes for that and believe that the murkiness outside is the truth about life is to be lost. So becoming more aware of who we truly are, being our own mother and father, helping, soothing ourselves through this murkiness so that we can come outside on the other side. Because if we dive into the murkiness in the outside world, we allow both the victim and the oppressor within us to keep us in a jail, in a prison within ourselves. To release ourselves from that, we need to become our own mother and father and say, no, this is not who you truly are. You are light. You are love. You are enough. It's the only thing we need to focus on, because that is the truth. There is no human being that is not enough, and that is not love, and that is not light from within.
That's right.
It's the only truth I actually can say is the truth for me, that there is always a core within every single human being that is love, understanding, compassion, light, worthiness. All of these things are within every single human being. If you look at a little child, you will see all these traits, and the child can't even speak yet. It's just there. All these traits are there. So why would we lose them? Where would they go? If we have them within when we're born here, then why would we have less of it now? It's the same thing. It's the same essence going through us. It is our ego that shows us masks or smoke screens or whatever we want to call it, that put us in a state of being where we think that we're not light, that we're not worthy. And it's never the truth. It can never be the truth.
No. That's where I have right here, it says, I am safe, loved, worthy, abundant, powerful.
Yes.
And that I am, that is coming back to source. And sadly, when people speak, I'd be like, I'm an idiot. Like I was saying just, I want to speak to anyone, my worst enemy, the way I spoke to myself about myself. But now reclaiming all the beauty, they say whatever falls I am follows us, but it's true, because we are literally going to source and saying, This is the frequency I am choosing. And so when we can override that low murkiness and come back and say, I am all that I desire to be. I am a magnet for beauty, a magnet for love, a magnet for truth, a magnet for freedom, a magnet for impact in this world and positive legacy. And the list can go on. And we could, isn't it funny? We spend how many hours a day worrying, but we could spend 20 minutes writing down all the great I ams, and it would override all the weeks and months and years
Everything.
of,
Yes.
yeah, totally.
Yes, it's a question of consciously choosing this.
Yes.
Because, and here's the thing, you cannot give what you do not have.
That's right.
The thing is that you do have it from beginning. It is yours. When you are born here, it is yours. It is a gift.
Yes.
But if you do not acknowledge it within yourself by saying, I am, and then putting the positive stuff after that, you will not be aware of that it is there. So you need to, I mean, you cannot give what you do not have. So how do you generate love within yourself? How do you generate love within yourself? Because this is what we're here to do. You're a soul having a human experience. As a soul, you have all the love, you have everything that you need from beginning. You know that it is so. So
Yes.
you jump into this bodysuit with all the limitations that are there. What would be the plan here? Well, I think that the plan is that we jump into this bodysuit because we need to remember how to transform the negative into the positive. We're like transformational devices here. We're transforming thoughts into matter, ideas into things. We're transforming words into relationships. We're transforming the negative into positive. If we do not understand that process, we become stuck in the negative because the negative is a part of this physical reality. So just remembering that, also knowing that there is a default mode where you actually do have everything that you need on the outside. You already have it within. So you can go within, get it, and then give more of it. So you cannot give what you do not have is actually a question of what do you believe that you have? Because we're creating this reality through our beliefs. So do you believe that you have everything you need? If you do not believe that you have all the love and the beauty and intelligence and whatever it is that you need in this world already, take a look at a baby and tell me the flaws of that baby. There are no flaws. The baby is flawless when you look at it. That is who you are when you enter this world. How can you be less now? For me, it's like I do not get that process. Of course, we are the same essence flows through you. That is your life force. It contains everything you need in order to become the best version of yourself. Nature works that way. Why would we be an exception?
Okay, so have you heard of the story, the prodigal son from the Bible? It's kind of a famous story. It's
Yes.
like we are the prodigal. It's like we are born pure, perfect, beauty, true. Our essence is in us in this small little human container. And then it still stays and it continues on this timeline, probably continuing to ascend. And we go way over here to explore all this world, intentionally or unintentionally, only to come back and find ourselves at the end. And this is why fathering and mothering ourselves is so important, because the Trinity is within us. The Holy Trinity is Father, Mother, Child within. And to anyone who's in the Christian world, that might trigger you massively, or any world, quite frankly, but that is the Holy Trinity, where the Father can say to the Son, per se, if we stay in that mother-father space, welcome home.
Yes.
I've been waiting for you. I love you. There's nothing that you've explored in this journey that has marred me, which is you, which is us in one. It's so beautiful.
It truly is. There is a painting made by Rembrandt, which is called The Prodigal Son. And the father is embracing the son that has returned. And the son that stayed feels jealous because how can he love him? He left him. He wasn't there for him. But he loves him because this is a son who is willing to make mistakes, who is not afraid to explore life. That is why he's here. He's here to explore life. He's not here to sacrifice himself for something that he actually doesn't want because he thinks that love is transactional. Love isn't transactional, and this is why the father welcomes the son when he enters the home again, because he has been doing exactly what we're supposed to do in this world. We're supposed to go outside. We're supposed to forgive ourselves for all the mistakes. By the way, there are no mistakes. It's actually just feedback so that you will learn how to, it's like a GPS. It tells you when you're deviating too far from your alignment, so to speak.
Yes.
So beating yourself up does not fill any purpose.
Right.
It only makes you into a victim, which is not what you want to be. If you have a child in front of you and you see how this child is tormenting itself because it's not doing the right thing, it's making mistakes, you wouldn't say to that child, "You're so stupid, do it this way." You would say, "Try again and it'll work. I'm here for you."
Right.
That is what you're supposed to tell yourself every time you feel like, oh, nothing is going right. That's how you mother yourself and father yourself.
I'm laughing because I was afraid I was going to be killed growing up. That was, up until 4 years ago, I thought that was going to be happen. That was going to happen literally. And it's funny if it's not funny, but it's because I have kind of dark humor because I grew up in dark. But if you would tell a child, you mess it, you're gonna die. Like, no, this is it, like a finality to it. I just made a simple mistake. That would be, of course, so ridiculous. I mean, that's not even the right word. That's utterly out of the realm of possibilities. Of course, we would never tell a child, this is it, you must die for a mistake. But I carried that like, I'm scared literally to death.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yes.
And then it's like, this is why that Michael Landon imagery is so important, is like, nothing outside this cabin will ever enter and I have to remind myself, even what yesterday I'd going through this, to tell myself I am safe. It seems so like, oh, you're safe. Like, you could tell yourself anything, but safe is like, I'm safe. It's everything.
Yes. You're always safe.
Yes.
But it's really hard to stay in that space if you've never felt safe as a child. So to find that place and understand that that is the truth of who you are, the stillness inside of you is the truth. And when you're there, your mind is clear, your heart is open, and you can make the right choices in this reality that is beneficial for you and for everyone else around you. There are no mistakes. This is what I'm saying. There are no mistakes.
Right.
It's when you believe the untrue thoughts of not being enough, of being controlled by others on the outside. Your life is in their hands. Your life is never in anyone's hands. It's only in your hands, always. It cannot be in any other way, unless you believe it, of course, because this reality is made up of our beliefs. This is why it's so important to think about, what is it that I'm believing about myself and reality? Are those beliefs true? How do I know that they're true? Whose beliefs are they, actually? I mean, for a long time in my life, I had an image of myself that now when I look at it, I know that it was borrowed. It was given to me. It wasn't my own. It was given to me. And I corrected myself into that small box because I wanted to be loved by a mother and a father who was not capable of doing that. Why would I stay in that box? Because it's not my image. It's their expectations. It's their version of me. But that's not who I am. I can never be their version because they don't know me. They only know themselves, and hardly even that because they didn't know themselves. So why would I stay in that tight place?
Right.
Know that
And
you did the same thing. You had the image of you
yeah.
of being weak, and as we always say, you're a big guy. You're
Yeah.
not weak. There is so much strength there,
Yeah.
and yet you believed in a version of you that was weak because you had no power where you were as a child.
That's right. That's right.
But if you don't take care, sorry, but if
Oh
you
yeah.
don't take care of that energy coming from your parents to you, then you transform it, or you allow it through you into your children. And that's where, for me, that was where it stopped. This was my wake-up call,
Mm,
looking at my son and thinking, why would I do that to him? I need to find myself. I need to be my mother and my father, and I need to be his mother.
mm,
How do I find that unless I create it within me? I had to create a mother within me so that I could be a mother to him. I might as well be mother to me too when I created her
that's
within
right.
me. Why not?
That's right. Um, the this concept is so interesting, and I think if I could bless everyone with this idea, is that regardless of a human being in our past, they are not the model for
Yes.
what we really wanted. What we really wanted is us taking time to go in and think, what do I really need? What do I really want? And if we don't take time to reclaim what we want for ourselves, of ourselves, with ourselves, and by ourselves, we will always allow the external narrative to be our narrative, which gets passed down and becomes another person. This is what you're talking about, the cycle.
Yes. Yes.
And even when coaching, I have everyone write down every painful word that was
Mm.
ever spoken to them, by whom and at what age. And I asked them, and we go through, you got to meditate, you got to ask God, you got to ask the universe, please reveal every painful thing that I've carried. And we go through, and then I say, I release that.
Mm.
I receive love. I release that. I receive love. And when we start looking at these lists, it is heinous. It is
Mm.
evil what humans, like just normal good people, are carrying with them.
Yes.
Somewhere that narrative is seeped into their consciousness, and that's become their own view of themselves. They're always trying to outperform the pain versus going in and saying, all this, I release it all. I am so beautiful inside it. I am so worthy. It takes time to reclaim it, to be intentional about who we are as the container, because this is a short time. We're
Yes.
here in a moment.
Yes.
And that's what I think when I started, what I was saying, if we stopped looking at another to fill our cup, and we stopped looking at another, but we really just did it ourselves to fill ourselves, then we can have fun with each other again. Where it's like, what do you want to create today? What do you want to play with today? What do you want to do today? Versus, well, you did this to me, or I'm not feeling loved, or I'm not getting the attention I want, or whatever it is in lack. It's like, no, I fill my cup. Now, are you ready to have fun? Go fill your cup. Let's go and let's play.
Yes, it is about understanding how evanescent life is.
Yes.
It is about understanding that every single moment is so important.
Yes.
So just becoming more aware of that you need to be focused in the now moment fully, not as a copy of someone else. You see, it's so much easier to be yourself than being this copy of someone else, like the way your parents wanted you to be, or your teachers, or society, or whoever it is. If you want to, fulfill all the expectations on the outside, you will become a copy of something that is not you. And that is painful. That is really hard to do. And I don't know any single person who's not doing this on earth. This is why we feel like there's an imposter syndrome going on all the time, because we are acting as copies of someone else. We are not going inwardly and saying, okay, who am I? And what do I want to explore in this reality? And then stay there without the guilt, without explaining why we are doing what we're doing in our reality. That's how you can, it feels easier to be yourself than being a copy of someone else.
Right.
So if you are in pain, if you feel that, okay, I cannot be myself, then you're in the wrong place. You need to change something.
That's right.
It's not if it's not, for me, it took years to get who I am. And it's only now that I can enjoy who I am without saying, I'm so sorry. Excuse me, I didn't want to do that. I wanted this instead. Just being unapologetic, just being who I am. Because when I know who I am, which is kind, loving, light, and we are all that. It's the same essence going through each and every one of us. If you can connect to that light and unconditional loving and understanding and acceptance, then it is not painful to be who you are. And it's also legit to actually look for the things that you enjoy doing. When you are connected to that core, you cannot hurt other sentient beings because you know who you are. And when I know who I am, I also know who you are. I don't know all your desires here. I know my desires, and that's my life path, and your life path is your desires. But still, I know that there is this goodness, this unconditional love going through you exactly as it is going through me.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. But we're not allowed to go so deep. We're not allowed to find ourselves. I don't know why it's like this in our society, why we created a society that works like that. What I do know is that if we all knew who we were, there would not be a problem in the world, right. Literally. Right. So the outmost power is always within us, which means that when I start looking for who am I within me, I'm not talking about the desires and stuff, looking for who am I am the observer of this world. And so are you, and so is everyone else. So we're observing this world. We're actually in a place where we can choose what it is that we want to explore. When we start acknowledging that, it shifts, it changes without us doing anything. Yes, I think it's our hour has gone. I see how you're looking at the clock, and I'm going, yeah.
It's so beautiful. Yeah. It's so beautiful. Everyone watching, whether you're watching live, and thank you, everyone. Tara, oh yeah, that exercise is such a beautiful exercise. Lantern, Suresh, Terrell, Wendy, who else is Kara, Dawn, and thank you. But to everyone watching live and on the replay, this content, what Gordana and I have been talking about month after month, week after week, or week after week, month after month. We're coming out with a course very soon, and it is called Key Memories, Undoing Your Past, Rewriting Your Future, where we walk through this process. Yes, this like present process with you. And if you're interested, send us a message on Instagram or Twitter, DM us your email, and we'll send you an alert when it comes out, because it's coming out soon, and it's going to be, I think, the catalyst for healing many, many, many souls on this planet. And for that, I'm really excited. So
yes, it's about releasing the energetic bonds to the past, understanding that we don't need to carry everything with us. Just pick out the things that are actually working for us, and the rest we can just leave. I feel like we are in a place right now in time and space where it's much easier to do so, because everything is on the surface right now. This is why we are exploring so much pain in the world, because everything is at the surface. And well, that can be painful, but it can also be very beneficial, because we can actually choose what you see. If it doesn't fit you, you can release it. It's when you don't see it and it works underneath the surface that it is painful and you don't know what to do with it. So now that it is on the surface, let's release the things that are not working for us. And this course teaches us how to go back and release ourselves from past pain.
Yes. So message us if you're interested. We love you all. Thank you for joining us on this journey. And Gordana, thank you.